welcome to the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters. Oh, I think I pulled my arm. Oh, no, I didn't. It's right here, baby.
That's the last time you're going to throw that one in.
Hell no. No, we'll throw it again. I am Mike Galetta, a.k.a. Hamilton Mike, along with my partner, Brian, the Ranger of Tar. Brian, how the hell are you?
I'm having a wonderful day. For those of you who don't know, here in the South Jersey area, it decided to snow, which makes it a very interesting driving experience. Yeah, so it was fun getting here today.
Great, and you know what? If you have to stay home inside the snow, there's always ways to find the Sports Box, Brian.
Absolutely. You can find us on Facebook at Sports Box Show, on Twitter at Sports Box Show, and of course, this has been our biggest week ever on the YouTube channel. We have a ton of new subscribers, just a ridiculous amount of views. We can't thank our subscribers and viewers enough for the support. Definitely make sure that you're joining the party. Hit that subscribe now, because we're going to got a lot of great content through the end of the season in football and all through the summer. So make sure you're following us and subscribing on YouTube as well.
And remember to hit our advertiser up, DJ Cruz and Anthony Cruz, for all your party and DJ booking needs. Give him a call, 609. You know what? I forgot his number. 513-6395. You thought I was kidding.
Can't forget that.
Anyway, on the line today, well, first I might say, today we're talking one of our series, I believe it's Series 3, on the coaches that have been let go, left, whatever the case may be. And we were off to nice, cold Buffalo like we are in Jersey.
It feels like we're in Buffalo.
I tell you what.
I feel like I'm in the mood like I'm talking about
yeah,
Buffalo.
you know, we could be. But anyway, we're going to talk to a guy who knows the Buffalo Bills inside and out. You've seen him on our review show. He's back. He's happy to be here. Well, if he's happy. He said he was happy. We'll find out. His name is Chris Danielson. Chris, you on the line?
Hi, how's it going? It's good to be with you.
Attaboy. The guy loves being here. That's what we like.
Only winners.
That's only winners at the Sports Box. So, Chris, let's get right to it. Buffalo Bills, a little turmoil this year. You know, kind of going the other way a little bit, but you know, I guess for your sake, they got rid of Rex Ryan now. What are you hearing? Have you heard any candidates? Or well, let's first start with Rex Ryan. What do you think went wrong with the whole firing of Rex Ryan?
Well, I felt like, you know, Rex Ryan came in, he was supposed to be a defensive-minded guy, and I felt like his scheme didn't fit the personnel, and I also felt like, you know, they've got a 4-3 personnel, and they ran a 3-4 defense, and if a defensive-minded coach isn't gonna do well on defense, then it's not worth it to keep him around.
So, Chris, Buffalo was a team that was tops in the league in rushing yards per game, almost 165 yards a game rushing, which is fantastic. However, conversely, when you look at their offensive numbers through the air, not quite as good. They were 30th in the league, less than 190 yards a game. Only the Rams and Niners were worse, and trust me, that's not company that you want to be in as a Buffalo fan.
Right.
There is some speculation that they may go in a different direction at quarterback with Tyrod Taylor. And I know that as part of a coaching change, do you think that ownership may want someone to come in who wants to keep Taylor, or do you think that they're kind of okay going in a whole different direction all around?
I think that they're going to want to... it's hard for me to believe that they would want to have somebody come in and keep Taylor just because of their actions towards the end of the season. He was a healthy scratch in the last game of the season because he had a clause in his contract that if you were injured in a way that that would make it so you can play next season, they owed him a whole lot of money. And just the way that they've handled him up till now would lead me to believe that they're moving in another direction. But their moves, it's difficult to read the tea leaves with them because they do things and then do a 180-degree shift at a mind-numbing pace.
Yeah, you know, you look at Taylor's contract. I mean, there is some guaranteed money there, but you look at possibly, you know, if they were to cut him, it really wouldn't be, you know, that much, at least after year one. They actually would save money on the cap. I mean, that's probably the most concerning thing is the salary cap implications. But, you know, you mentioned that Rex Ryan was a defensive coach, and I know that they're playing in a division with the Patriots, who tend to run out the score when they can. What was it, do you think, that maybe was the most thing that led to his downfall? I mean, obviously that they hadn't made the playoffs, which is important. But was it his allegiance to Taylor and not want to move in a different direction that possibly led to his early departure?
Well, I mean, if you're going to be playing in a division with the Patriots, simply stopping them isn't going to cut it. I mean, they were losing close games. And in those close games, him not having an offense at all, I mean, they fired their offensive coordinator early on in the year. And they promoted Anthony Lynn, who was their running backs coach, to offensive coordinator. And in the beginning, there was a little bit of life, but I mean, when you look at that in comparison to the rest of the league, their offense was so bad it didn't matter how good their defense was.
You look at the candidates right now, just throwing some out there for you, Chris. You talk about Harold Goodwin, offensive coordinator for Arizona, Anthony Lynn, who took over as the interim head coach in the departure of Rex Ryan, and obviously Sean McDermott is getting some play again, defensive coordinator for Carolina. Out of those three, in your own opinion, where do you see, or who would you rather take over this team?
I would rather have the offensive coordinator from Arizona, Goodwin.
Okay.
I think it's been a long time coming that they have an offensive-minded head coach. They have good personnel on defense, and I think a good defensive coordinator would definitely help them. But they really need overhauling on offense. They really need help because they have a good offensive line. They have a solid offensive line. They have something to build on. They just haven't been able to get anybody in there that can build on it.
I think when you guys talked before about the whole Tyrod Taylor thing, I think that's got to be Buffalo's almost priority one to get him back there, because you don't get him back there. I mean, you're looking at EJ Manuel, or you're looking to draft somebody. I mean, that's taking a big step back. I know you're looking to overhaul and get this team ready for the future, but with the quarterback situation the way it is, I think personally, I think you give Taylor what he wants and then build around him.
I wouldn't be. The jury's still not out on Taylor. I'm not saying that. I wouldn't say that he's done. I think that he has the potential to be a good quarterback. He's certainly cool under pressure. This year he had a hard time throwing the long ball, which he did pretty well last year, and he made some bad decisions. But I mean, when you have, and we're in the situation that he was in, it's hard to tell because all of his wide receivers were out almost all year.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to say. I mean, injuries really aren't an excuse. It's the NFL. You're gonna have injuries. You gotta be able to perform under those circumstances. But if there was a failure there, I think it was in general management, not necessarily with Taylor.
Yeah.
You mentioned the injuries, Chris. I mean, obviously the most notable one for the Bills would be Sammy Watkins. I mean, he's a guy who you have to know that they were relying on in a big way. Whatever sort of deficiencies Tyrod Taylor had, I mean, Sammy Watkins is the kind of player that can, kind of hide them a little bit and make some incredible catches and really be an offensive weapon. And not having him, I think, reverberated throughout the offense because they really couldn't be as effective passing the ball. So you look at a team, again, they finished 7-9. They have a top 10 pick in this draft. You mentioned the offensive line is pretty solid. So do you think that they look for some secondary help? Do you think they get somebody opposite Watkins, or maybe even somebody who can take some of the pressure off of Watkins? I guess, which way do you think a new administration goes with a pretty high pick in this draft?
Well, it would depend on what was there, but I would say that no matter what, they're going to have to go either wide receiver or a defensive back. Those are their two biggest areas of need. They either need a tall defensive back, somebody who can man-on-man coverage, because they had a tough time with that this year, or they need a wide receiver in a bad way.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one thing, I got to give it to Buffalo Bills fans. They're very loyal. They're always out there in absolutely frigid temperatures. I admire those guys. Hopefully this is the start of a new renaissance for the Bills, because I think the fans deserve it for sure.
You talk about
I hope so.
You talk about Sammy Watkins. He single-handedly has killed this team with the injuries he's had, and obviously you don't cut the guy, but what do you do with him next year? You can't really rely on him like you would when he first came in here. But in the same sense, when he does come in, he makes plays, and I guess you got to keep him around, obviously, for that point. But he's really single-handedly killing himself with this team.
Yeah, he is. But at the same time, I mean, there's a massive drop-off of talent from their first wide receiver to their second wide receiver. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to win in the league, you can't have that big of a shelf. You can't have that big of a drop-off in talent.
The last thing I have for you, Chris, is, and this is my sticking point getting to talking about the Buffalo Bills, the whole Rex Ryan thing, is the quarterback situation. Obviously, if they let Tyrod Taylor go, you go in a different direction. You have a draft pick coming in. Are you comfortable? Well, I probably had to answer this for you. Are you comfortable with EJ Manuel and Cardell Jones?
I'm more comfortable with Cardell Jones than I am with E.J. Manuel.
That speaks
mainly because I haven't seen what Cardell Jones can do, and I have seen what E.J. Manuel can't do.
Yeah.
But there is an off season. There are some potential free agent quarterbacks out there that I think could be a placeholder in Buffalo. And I've heard rumblings of maybe Phillip Rivers. It's obvious that Tony Romo is going somewhere else in the next year.
Right.
I'm not necessarily comfortable with them as building a franchise around, but I haven't done enough homework on the quarterbacks in the draft to know whether they can get one in the top 10 or whether there's value in the second or third round. But I think that is definitely the problem. NFL quarterbacks don't grow on trees, and if you're going to move on from Tyrod Taylor, the question becomes who you're going to get.
E.J. Manuel.
And that's not an easy question to answer.
E.J. Manuel, come on, he's got the mobility of a filing cabinet. How could you not want him back there? Come on.
That's an insult to filing cabinet.
I think E.J. Manuel has all the physical tools.
Yeah, the Staples stock just went down.
Yeah. But again, so the Bills have the third longest drought in the league since they've last won a playoff game. So whoever's going to come in, I think, is going to put their stamp on the team. I just don't know if Tyrod Taylor is necessarily going to be part of that. I'll be curious to see if they go with a young quarterback. Again, I agree with you, Chris. There aren't that many holes on the team that they would be like in line for a huge rebuild. So it is an interesting landing spot for a Tony Romo. Maybe possibly a Phillip Rivers if he wants out of San Diego as part of a move somewhere.
Maybe even you.
You probably don't want... I'm not that good in the cold, frankly. But it is interesting. Again, they did such a nice job in getting LaShawn McCoy for Kiko Alonso. I think that they fleeced the Eagles and Chip Kelly at that time, and he had such a great year. Such a great year for the Bills. I think...
I was watching the Miami Pittsburgh game today, and Kiko Alonso's name got called a couple of times, and I really like Kiko, but I think that I wouldn't trade him any day of the week for LaShawn McCoy.
Well, when you run into a guy, 15 times a game, he's got to make a tackle every once in a while. That's why he looks so good. So, with him with the half shirt out there in the 1-degree weather, what an idiot. But anyway, that's a whole different show. So, that's all the time. That's all the time we have for the Rex Ryan. I don't want to say roasting, but the Rex Ryan firing of the Buffalo Bills. I want to thank our Buffalo affiliate, Chris Danielson, for stopping on to the show and talking a little Buffalo Bills with us. Chris, thank you very much.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. It's always a freaking pleasure.
Absolutely.
Here. Always a pleasure at the Sports Box. Because you know what? You can get us everywhere.
Absolutely. If you're on Twitter, we're at Sports Box Show. We're on Facebook, we're at Sports Box Show. And, of course, the YouTube channel, which just, our YouTube subscribers are multiplying like rabbits. They are just it's unbelievable. So definitely make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel for, again, shows just like this, because as we know, the winds of change are blowing through Buffalo, and boy are they cold.
Oh man,
they are cold winds.
And remember to check out our advisor. Check out our advertiser.
We could use some advice.
We could for other things. On DJ Cruz, Anthony Cruz, for all your DJ party needs, give him a call 609-513-6395. Thanks again for watching, folks. Remember, at Sports Box, the only opinion that matters is absolutely right here. Thanks for watching. See you.
Don't forget to subscribe.